the Thanksgiving video. You have to what? Reverse the rules. So therefore, I wouldn't sit at that table. That doesn't mean that you cannot enter the house. It doesn't mean that you cannot eat with your family members. But sitting at the table in which they're drinking alcohol, I would avoid that. Last but not least, it may be some restaurants that you may go in. Let's say it's a high-end restaurant, all right, in which there's a standard bottle of champagne or wine on the table, methaline. And all you have to do is tell the waiter or the waitress from the beginning, take this 20, thanks a lot, could you, take care of that for me. And if it's a smart waiter or waitress or server, as they say nowadays, next time you come in, what they'll do, before you even get there, they'll take it off the table already. They'll make a little bit of distance between you and them, come with me, they'll speed up a little bit, and they'll quickly move the bottle off the table because they know you now. So that's what I would do, Wallahu a'lam. Any other questions? طيب خير تفضل.
Is it permissible to someone to be buried shrouded in like a
suit and tie?
Tie. Or a woman like in a dress?
Clear. We say that's not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The sunnah of the Rasul ﷺ is for the person to be buried in clothing of white clothes, 3 garments for the man. Some of the ulama may say 5 garments for a woman. Al-Muhim, everybody inshallah can agree on at least 3. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and not those tailored clothes. The symbolicism, importance of having those clothes in towards traveling towards the hereafter, but then ta'ala is clear. So that's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's what should be done. And the only time in which the kafan, the specific Islamic kafan, shouldn't be used is when it's a necessity. There's not enough clothes, or there's the only thing we have is a blanket, or black clothes, or red clothes. Everybody understand this? But to wear, or to intentionally put in someone's will, bury me in a tuxedo, a suit and a tie, this fancy dress. Not only is that not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, regardless whether it's haram or not, permissible or not, but it's not the sunnah, but it's also a means, in my humble opinion, of israf, of you being a spendthrift. That suit costs money. A good suit costs a good amount of money. A good suit, not a cheap, cheesy suit. An actual good suit costs money. So you're traveling to the hereafter with that fine material on. What's the purpose of that? That money can be put in a sadaqah box. That money can be given to an orphan. Forget your family. My family is fine. My family is not poor. I don't come from poor family. Okay, no problem. No less. But that money can be given to someone, and that can take someone a long, long, long way. That orphan that you give that money to, that widow that you give that money to. So that's not from the akhlaq of the believer in this life, let alone a time in which you're leaving the dunya, traveling to the hereafter. You need every single ounce of piety and righteousness and sunnah that you can get. That's stupid and foolish. When I die, when I'm out of this dunya, I can't do any more good righteous deeds. Let the last thing that you do for me is something that's extravagant and excessive. That doesn't make sense. People that are sinful don't even think like that. Listen, man, when I die, you make sure you pray over me. You make dua for me. You hear me? You understand? You make sure that you take care of my body the correct way, even though I drink alcohol and I smoke and I do this and I do that. But when I go, you make sure that you do whatever you can to clean me up. That's a smart person. Wallahu a'lam. What do we do first? And make Adam go a 3rd time, or Abu Bakr? Ahlahuma mur. The sweeter of the 2 is what? Is bitter. Any questions, Yusuf? Tayyib, alhamdulillah. Father Khalid.
With regard to hadith, like the believers will see like the full moon, right? People of the anthropomorphic methodology or philosophy, they say that Allah has a form. What do we say to that?
Maybe. Ask the Prophet that. He said it, not me. I don't make the rules. I just what? Follow him. The Prophet said those words. It's just that simple. So if it's kufr, and if it's ugly, and how can you say that and think that? Explain it to who? The Nabi al-Kareem alayhi salam. There's no way you can say it's da'if, hadith mutawatir. Can't say it's ahad. So you have to accept it based off of your own standards. So if it's anthropomorphosis, it's putting a law in a body or location or form, tayyib, labas. That's the question you don't ask to me, but you ask that to who? The Prophet alayhi salam. Oh, it has a different interpretation. Okay, fine. That's something you take on with the Prophet alayhi salam. But that's not the initial argument. The initial argument is the actual wording. The zahir of the text is what? Kufr wa dalal. The outward text is what? Enter what? Pomorphosis. You will see Allah like you see the moon. They're saying that the zahir, the text itself, that statement in itself is what? Is good or bad thing. They're saying that it's a bad thing. You put the law in a form. And then all forms are similar to each other. They have bodies. So that's anthropomorphism. And you can't do that. Laysa kamithlihi shay. You didn't get into the interpretation yet. They're saying that the zahir al-lafz ish? The zahir al-nusus ish? Kufrun wa dalal. Okay, so the one who brought that kufr and the dalal, you have to take that up with him. And you mention your ta'wil to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, the Quran al-Kareem is what's in the Sunnah is no different than what's in the Quran al-Kareem. Allah mentions yadullahi fawqa aydihim, the wajh of Allah azza wa jal, and the list goes on in the sifat. They have interpretations, they mean something. Okay, maybe they do. But first and foremost, if this statement is so ugly and nasty and bad, you have to tell that to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You say that to him. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah resurrection, you tell Allah, oh Allah, why did you send that in the Quran? That's full of tashbih. Why did you send that in the Quran? That's full of anthropomorphism. Yeah, ask Allah that question. Wallahu alam. Fadl, Bilal.
Can a woman recite the Quran when she has a period?
Can a woman recite the Quran when she has a period? Yes, she can. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. She can. Wallahu alam. Fadl Abu Bakr.
What is irja? And is there a difference between at the time of the Salaf when they say that someone is murji? Is that different from the term that is used today for the people today, I guess?
First and foremost, the question says, I'll tell you, we made a mistake. Once again, guys, try to use the microphone if you can, because obviously I have 1,000,001 things coming at me, so I may forget to repeat the question. So please forgive me, brothers and sisters that are watching. No, not your fault. Saying people complain. We can't hear the question. That's it, like that. Like, hello, Earth to Mufti. We can't what? There's many, wallahi. Repeated me, Sheikh. We can't hear the question. Say the question again. The answer is not good enough until you hear the what? The question. You got that? The graffiti what? Under the steps. Tayyib. The first question, moving back, was regarding saying that Allah Azza wa Jalla will be seen in the hereafter like you see the moon. Does that put Allah in a form? Or what do we say? What's the response to those who say that has tashbih and takyif and tajseem is putting Allah in a body in a form of anthropomorphism? Hey, that was that answer. That was that question. Then the question after that was a woman reciting the Quran on her period. Question clear, inshallah? Tayyib. The question now is, repeat the question once more. What is irja? And is there a difference between what the Salaf al-Salih, what some of them said about others, or what people said about some of them, that they're murji', fihi irja, fulan is a murji', so on and so forth. First and foremost is go back to the playlist, Kitab al-Iman min al-Lu'lu wal-Marjan, fima tafaqa alayhi shaykhan. I think it's maybe 25 videos we did in a complete playlist from Bukhari and Muslim explaining Kitab al-Iman, all the ins and outs of Kitab al-Iman, what's meant by Iman, so on and so forth. So that's awalan. Please go back to that recording. Thaniyan, in brief, al-irja' basically means to push back, to delay, as Allah mentions in the Quran in several places. The concept of holding something back, pushing something back. And what's meant by it in the technical sense, ta'khir al-amal an musamma al-iman. As the people of knowledge, they say, it is to say that deeds are not included in the actual title of Iman. Ta'khir al-amal an musamma al-iman. Musamma al-iman, the title of Iman. They say good deeds are good to do in Islam. To make salah, to fast, to make hajj, to make jihad is good. But it's not actually from the real, actual title and concept of Iman initially. Everybody understand this? That's the asl of that term. And obviously there are different groups from among the murji'ah. There are those who are in far left field, and then there are those who are at first base. Those who are really extreme, and those who have just some innovation and some misguidance regarding the concept of Iman. There are those from among them, or from the concept, not even from the murji'ah, but just the concept of irja' and Iman. What is Iman? Is it just a statement and not even a belief? Just say it, don't believe it. Is it a belief without a statement? Is it a belief in a statement? Or is it a belief, a statement, and actions? And we know that the Salaf Salih, they would say, Al-Iman qawlun wa amal yazidu wa yankus. Iman is a statement and an action, it increases and it decreases. That's just that simple. And these are from Iman. Khairan inshaAllah ta'ala. So there are murjiatul fuqaha and the different types of murjia. Al-Muhim is when the Salaf Salih use the word fulan murji', it depends on who they were talking about. And obviously in the early days, the irja' was lightly, or we say is relatively slight, relatively diet. It wasn't like those who were extreme, who came later on and said all types of innovations and all types of tammat. Even though there were mubtadi'ah in the time of the Salaf Salih, but whenever they were talking about somebody, in most cases, fulanun kada, in most cases, it was light. Because for them to even have this person in their circle, and for him to for them to be asked about those people, those narrators, we take from him, that means that he has some type of what? Good with him already. He was relatively what? Close. And not like the Ra'sul Mubtadi'ah, someone that was the head of the sect. Everybody understand this? So that's in general, fulanun qadari, fulanun kada. So you have to read the books of the Salaf Salih. Everybody may have, some people may have a different usage of the term, depiction, extreme or not, the general qawa'id, general dawabit. And you have to look at the historical context of the statement, let alone the accuracy of the word salaf. Many people that say the word salaf, and they're talking about somebody from the 3rd century. Salaf, he came before you, but that's not the mustalah alayh, the actual salaf salih. Yani, the sahaba, and the tabi'een, and the students of the tabi'een. Imam Ahmed was not from the tabi'een or their students. Imam Ahmed died over 1,000 years ago. So that's the general meaning of the word salaf, but that's not the specific what? Al-itlaq al-khas. Salaf, yani Hasan al-Basri. The salaf, everybody understand this? Abi Salam ibn Abdurrahman. So many people, they make mistakes and they make errors saying someone from the salaf, and it's not the specific early generations of Islam. Khairan inshallah. Wallahu alam, that's in brief.
In a college setting, how can someone speak about when people say what's the difference between Sunni and Shia? Like, how can you talk about that in a non-Muslim setting?
In a non-Muslim setting or sitting, how can you talk about Sunni and Shia? I would explain that there are 2 ways of using the term. The first way is general, and that is anyone who's not a Shiite. Who's not Shi'i is considered to be Sunni. But he's considered what? Sunni. All the different groups and schisms from the Muslims, they're all considered Sunni Muslims, and in contrast to the Shia and the Rafida. So we don't want to get into no food fights, okay, mud fights of the people and their ignorance, but in general, they say fulanun salafi. Fulanun, he's Ikhwan Muslimin. He's with Ikhwan Muslimin. He's Khawarij. He's Murji. He's Madkhali. He's Mumayyir. He's kada. He's kada. He's kada. He's this. He's that. He's an extreme Sufi. He's Murabit. He's a Fuqara. He's this and he's all the different terms and titles. Now, all of those different groups and sects and the general depiction are what? Sunni Muslims. Because they aren't Shia. Everybody understand this? All of them. The Sufi that dances and spins and twirls is a what? Sunni. No doubt about that. In light of the Shia. Everybody clear on this? Very important concept. Explain it to them just like that. Then, if you're having a specific talk or the specific usage of the term, you say a Sunni Muslim is a Muslim who tries to follow and practice the Sunnah. He or she who tries and doesn't claim perfection. That's a problem that we have, claiming perfection, even if it's not with my tongue. But my actions clearly prove that I think that my sweat doesn't smell. My actions prove that. Even though I don't say it, this is a reality. This is a reality among people who claim to have knowledge and ilm. They may not say it with their tongue, but their actions clearly prove that they think that they're not human beings and they're perfect. I'm trying and striving for perfection. Bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Learn, read the hadith, have the proper understanding, and implement it. And the sunnah is more valuable to me than what my father says and thinks, what my imam says and thinks, what my culture says and thinks. That's a Sunni Muslim. And there's different interchangeable terms. Sunni, al-hadith, al-athar, salafi, atba' salaf, whatever word or term is used. So it's a general depiction and a what? Specific depiction. Wallahu alam. Sheikh Khan.
What is the specific ruling regarding straightening the roads for Salah? What should be used as a guideline?
Question says, what is the specific ruling for straightening the rows in the Salah? What should we use as a guideline? First and foremost is, with keeping things brief, the rows have to be straightened. It's mandatory, it's obligatory. Point number one. Point number two, Bidnillahi ta'ala, several things that you use: shoulders, heels, chest, and faces. All of these things are to be used for the straightening of the rows. The heels, the shoulders, the chest, and the faces, and not necessarily the toes. Clear on that? That's in brief. As far as if there are lines in the carpet, boxes or squares, and the people know to use and start off with their heels, there's nothing wrong with that as well, and not by the toes. Wallahu alam. That's what should be done. Last but not least is the Imam himself. It's the sunnah for him to straighten the rows, or at least the first couple of rows, or at least the first row. The Imam turns around, or even if he continues to face the Qibla, but let's say best to turn around, it says, Istawu, Tarasu, I'tadilu, Sawu Sufufakum, فإن تصفية الصفوف من إقامة الصلاة, so on and so forth. The different narrations of the Prophet ﷺ, telling the people to do what? Straighten the rows. And then he walks, and this is the first row here. He comes here and he goes and he stands and he looks. Everybody got this? In front of them as well. And then there are 5 other rows. He can delegate someone at the head of each of those rows. Another row. He goes and he says, Lutfi, straighten your row. Straighten your row waist. Straighten your row Rio. Everybody understand this? And then he confirms with them, are the rows straight? Obviously he's talking to somebody that has some type of knowledge. Someone that should have some type of training under him, tutelage. He understands the fiqh as well. He's not too extreme or too harsh. Everybody can't be exact. Everybody can't keep their feet. It's difficult, but he has basic fiqh. And they say, Naam, Sheikh, the rows are straight. The third row here, Tayyib, it's 3 rows. He checks, he looks, then he does what? You gotta illustrate it like it's reality. You can't just move too fast. Tayyib, he goes what? He comes back up and then he says, Allahu Akbar. That's how it should be done. Not like how the people don't care. They don't, or they just, or some people say, stow. What does stow mean? What does that word mean? Do the people even know what it means? Am I making this up a ways? They don't know what stow means. This is a problem. So he should teach them istawu, tarasu, hadu bayna al-manakib, wal-aqdam. Everybody understand this? Tell the people the word in Arabic and then teach them what it says. And there should also be classes on straightening the rows. That's a long discussion, the abandoned, forgotten sunnah of straightening the rows. Rather, I would say, keep things in brief, this is one of the issues in which fiqh has conquered hadith. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And the kalam of the fuqaha has taken over the actual hadith. And the very first thing that people say, fuqaha, jumhur, the ulama, no one says wajib. What about the Prophet's statement? Straighten your rows. I see you from behind my back, he told them. Straighten your rows. If you don't, Allah will separate your hearts. Allah will separate you. Wallahu alam. Fadl Yusuf.
Khadija, NYC, New York. Can you go in detail about the sunnah of the newborn, like the adhan and the ears and cutting the hair?
Types. Everybody got the question? No, online. Is it loud enough? Sorry, Khadija, but I cannot go in detail in this answer because we just said it's a restricted amount of what? Time. However, bidnillahi ta'ala, if you don't find a video that we've done on it on the Hadith Disciple channel, then we will try our best to dedicate a video for it. A 5 minutes of faida, a lecture or something. Bidnillahi ta'ala, we'll try in the future. The brief answer is that the correct view is that you do not make the adhan in a child's ear. And that hadith is inauthentic. That's the qawl al-rajih, the strongest view. That's not what all of the ulama say. Some of them hold the view that it is hasan, that it is okay, it is authentic. And some of them, they say the wisdom of the hadith is clear and prevalent, whereas the very first thing that a child should hear is the dhikr of Allah. The dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla in the adhan, kicking the shaitan out and banishing him. So therefore, that's the correct understanding of that. If you want to do it, following those ulama. And if you don't want to do it, then don't do it following those ulama who say the hadith is what? baseless. It's mawdu'. Alright, clear on this? That's with regards to the adhan. As far as the aqiqah, then I know for sure we have done videos on this on the channel. Look up gems of the aqiqah. Gems, like gem jewelry of the what? Aqiqah. Part 1 and part 2 is on the channel. We did 2 lectures on the aqiqah and the sunnah of the what? Of the aqiqah. Wallahu alam.
Just want a follow-up question on that.
Next question, Yusuf.
Assalamu alaikum, NA, New Jersey, USA. Can you give us an advice for a Muslim who has been tried with waswasa with regards to ibadah?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With regards to waswasa and ibadah, is the advice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Seek Allah's refuge and stop thinking about it. And if you can't stop thinking about it, force yourself not to submit. Go through an anxiety attack, roll around, toss and turn, go crazy. But do not listen to those whispers. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it's nothing but a matter of time until the anxiety goes away. And the pressure goes away. And the thoughts will stop. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The temptations will stop. But it may take some suffering. It may take some pain in the beginning. Allah is going to test me, and He's also going to test what? He's going to test you. So every time you think about it, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Seek Allah's refuge and turn away from it. But maybe, keep going. I didn't make wudu. Nope. Keep going. I don't think I wiped off my socks. Keep what? Keep going. There's no precaution when you have waswasa. There's no precaution. There's no precaution. There's no safe side when you have waswasa. Just do it. Move forward. And constantly listen to the Quran and Kareem being recited. Constantly read it yourself. And keep good company around you and try your best not to be by yourself. That's in what? Brief. Wallahu alam.
Adam Al-Bani from Brooklyn, New York. Sheikh, is there any authenticity in the statement that Dajjal will be from Banu Hashim?
Why isn't Adam in class? Tell him that. Next question. He should be here physically. Adam Sahibuna. The real Adam from Brooklyn. Al-Kabir. Laysa Sughayir. Tell Adam to come to the masjid and give us one of those big Albanian grizzly bear hugs. Wallahu alam. Next question.
SN Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh. May Allah bless you and increase your knowledge. Can we read du'as that are mentioned in the Quran and our sujood?
Question says, can we read a dua that's mentioned in the Quran in the sujood? Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when you're in the sujood, you should stick to the prophetic supplications. The prophetic supplication, what he used to do in the sujood in Arabic. And if you have a worldly issue or something that you want to ask Allah specifically for, say it in the Arabic language and then let it be a normal, regular dua. A normal and regular dua, and not necessarily a dua from the Quran, unless it's a dua that the Prophet ﷺ used to make in the sujood that was from the Quran. Wallahu alam.
NA, New Jersey, USA. Do the parent-in-laws have any rights over their daughter-in-law?
Does the parent-in-laws
have any rights over their daughter-in-law?
Yani the mother and the father of the husband, correct? Do they have rights over her? Without a doubt, they have rights over her. She's considered to be their daughter, as if she's their daughter. Not by blood directly. It's not actual daughter, but as if she's their daughter. As if she's daughter. So all of the rights that woman's mother and father have over her, they have a miniature, smaller, subsidized what? Version of those rights. Of respect, of honor, of service. La shak fi dhalika. Having good thoughts, good words, kindness. There's no doubt about that. And in what? A miniature form. Express. Express. Not sitting and dining. It's very important to understand this. Okay? Because some of those parents or those in-laws, they'll make it like what? Full blown. You're my daughter. Listen to me. Obey me. Do this. No. We said it's what? Express. Is what always? Express. The whole menu is not what? It's not there. Just what? Certain things on the menu are there. And there's no place to sit down. You take your food and you do what? You keep moving. Small things. Not the whole menu is there. So that's a mistake that many people make. She is not your blood daughter. Let alone the concept of culture, When culture takes precedence over the sunnah and over the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's chaos. And that's how most of the Muslims live today, unfortunately. Whether it's urban culture, I used to be a Christian, my culture of jahiliyyah oftentimes comes before the sunnah, but it's not as bad. The haqq, yuqal, we say the truth, malish. Those revert Muslims is not as bad as someone who comes from a lineage of Muslims. It's a bit different. The revert in most cases is more willing to get rid of the practices of the family, of the streets, of this and that, in most cases. But the one who my mother, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, he was a warrior, he was a scholar, he was this, is hard to get away from the culture. Very, very hard. And oftentimes the family members, they'll mention the culture before the deen. And the Prophet's city. You do something bad, a man tries to talk to another man's wife, or if she's in a restaurant, he's flirting with someone's wife. Aib alik. Aib alik, wallah. Say aib. But they don't say haram. They don't say qala Rasulullah, qala Allah, kada. They don't say that. They say what? Aib. Culturally bad for you to flirt with another man's wife, which it is. But the deen comes what? Comes first. Even if the culture is based off of the deen. Even if the culture is what? Based off of the deen. You should remind them of who? Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's my view on that. What's important is in some cultures the in-laws the daughter may have to scrub their feet and scrub the bathroom with a toothbrush. That's not the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum. MS Silver Spring ND. Do one's parents have the right to stop their son from wearing a kufi or thawb while he lives with them?
No parents in their right mind should want to stop their children from dressing in like a Muslim. Is it the sunnah to wear a kufi? Did the Prophet wear a kufi? Is the thobe Arab dress or Persian dress? I don't know him. Everybody can agree that it's a what? A Muslim dress. At least Muslim. Maybe not Islamic, but at least a what? A Muslim dress. So why wouldn't you want your child to identify himself or herself like a Muslim? What's the mushkila? What's the problem? Are you afraid of people looking at you, staring at you, cops bothering you, harassing you? Are you afraid? What's the problem, Yani? Why tell your son you can't wear kufi, you can't wear thobe? Lish. Even if it isn't the sunnah, okay? People want to get into that argument. I like to wear it. It makes me feel good and comfortable. I don't want to wear a baseball jersey or a football jersey. I don't want to wear a hockey jersey. I want to wear a kufi and a thobe. Is that a problem? Am I killing anybody? Am I blowing anybody up by dressing like this? The people who supposedly did the 9/11 terrorist attacks, were they wearing thobes and kufis? What were they wearing in the waist, supposedly? What's wrong with the people today? Why stop your children from wanting to be more religious, wanting to be more pious? It's unnecessary. So therefore, if your parents tell you not to do it, try to explain it to them. Try to talk to them, huh? Try to convince them. Try to shed some light, some common sense, as we just did, on the whole concept of, being afraid and being scared and being brainwashed and thinking that this is no and so on and so. You should wear the clothes of your country. You should wear pants and a shirt. Kalam yani. Asaf shadid. Al-Muhim, if you live with your parents and they pay your bills, that's one thing. But if you don't, if you live separately, then they shouldn't have the right to tell you what you should dress like. Rather, even in the household, if you're wearing a thobe and a kufi because you think and you believe that it's the sunnah and it's Islamic and it's good to distinguish yourself as a Muslim and dress, do not listen to your parents if they tell you to do otherwise. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question is from
Umar from Brooklyn. Umar al-Yamani. Al-Yamani. Tight. He gets a pass. I know Adam longer. That best. Adam doesn't get a pass. Umar does.
Omar Saleh from Brooklyn, New York. My question is there a virtue in reading in the same qira'ah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Is it a sunnah?
Is it a virtue in reading in the same qira'ah of the Prophet ﷺ? Is it a sunnah? The issue of the qira'at, the different modes of recitation, is a long issue. There's some of the modes which are agreed upon, others which aren't. Everybody clear on this? What's important is do what is simple and easy for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. If you can recite hafs, it's simple, it's easy, it's easily accessed, it's not a problem for you, then you should focus on that. If you're not a Quran specialist, if you're not a student of knowledge that is an expert in the Quran, you should stick with one qira'ah. Stick with one qira'ah. The only person that should learn the second and third and fourth qira'ah, so on and so forth, is someone that's actually going to be what? Specializing in those fields. If you have the talent to do it, alhamdulillah, there's nothing wrong with it. My humble advice, if you're not specializing in the field, you should stick with one basic flow and focus on what you do specialize in. Because time and energy is limited. That's my humble opinion. Is there a specific ajr, a reward? If you do it with the intention that this is exactly how the Prophet ﷺ recited, that's my specific niyyah, then perhaps it's a specific ajr, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But the whole concept of the qira'at, can you say that the qira'at are not from the Prophet? Who's the one who established those qira'at? Who's the one who brought the Quran? The Sahaba learned from who? So can we say everyone says? However, for argument's sake, they say this qira'at hafs is the qira'at of the Prophet ﷺ in the Salah, so on and so on and so forth. If you do it with the intention, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully you'll get the reward. Bi'idhnillahi azza wa jalla. Wallahu alam. That's in brief.
And understand, out of New York, Assalamu alaikum, brother. My question is about the 4 imams. Who should we follow? My family are Bengali, they follow Hanafi. Help me understand which is right. Jazakallahu khair.
Tayyib. I would say is that if you are a general layman Muslim, learn the basics of your religion from the trustworthy sources of the scholars of Islam, wherever they come from Bangladesh, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Maliki, whatever the case may be, Zahiri, whatever word or term you want to use. A trusted scholar who teaches and makes knowledge available in a simple, basic, easy, fundamental way. That's what you should focus on. Whatever beginner's book that you come across with regards to Salah, with regards to Hajj, fasting, and the source, as I said, is trustworthy. He's actual alim, fi'lan. He has ilm, he has knowledge, obviously. Then you take from that book, you take from your teacher. If you desire more, you're thirsty, you're hungry, it's not enough, then continue to learn. And when you grow stronger, you take the training wheels off of your bicycle. And there's no more Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, but it's what seems to be closest to the dalil. What seems to make the most sense. The view that uses all of the hadiths and all of the proofs and evidences, not one and neglecting 10 others. The view that is based off of the most authentic hadith and not some bogus, mursal, khata, munkar hadith. And then disregard the other hadith which are clearly known to the rest of the ulama. That doesn't make sense. And you'll find that in abundance in many madhabs. They'll stick to things that are bawatil, manakir. Okay? And then they'll leave off the well-known, established hadith. And then they make an excuse. Oh, perhaps Imam Fulan didn't know about this hadith. Kayf. Perhaps lam yablughu. It didn't reach him. Okay. And this batil, munkar, mawdu' hadith did? That doesn't make sense for people to say that. Sometimes, certain issues, yes, but in abundance, no. That excuse is that's temporary excuse. And in some issues, there's problems, no doubt about that. So therefore, as a student of knowledge, read and study, you learn systematically, step by step, piece by piece, what you feel is the best thing to do. As far as a general layman, you take from the teacher that's giving you the basic ABCs, Shafi'i, Hanafi, Maliki, whatever he is. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, as a layman Muslim, try your best from time to time to open up the books of hadith and read the hadiths and see what you understand, see what you come up with. And you'll get questions and problems, and then you ask about those questions, about those problems, and eventually leads you to having a better awareness of the correct fiqh and the proper fiqh. Don't fight with your family. Don't argue with your family. Don't force your view on your family. You learn, you study, piece by piece, you implement what you learn, you call them and you invite them. But even if they continue to be Hanafi people, as long as they're making the 5 daily prayers, they're fasting, they make zakah, they make hajj, your mother wears hijab, your father works, he has a beard, that's better for them than getting involved in this one and qala wa 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 qala, and then become lost. It's better for a layman Muslim to be a simple, basic layman Muslim as long as the layman Muslim is following a trusted source. A what? A trusted source. Well, that's in brief. We've done videos on this as well with regards to madhabs, taqleed, ittiba', etc. That's my personal advice. Wallahu alam.
Umar Saleh from Brooklyn, New York. Sheikh, is there any authenticity in the statements that the child will be from Hashem and will be a prophet?
That's an insult to my what, Adam? Intelligence. Omar just lost a major point. For cooperating with the people of Allahu alam, what we call Adam from Brooklyn. He's definitely from the people of something, no? Now Adam something. Secondly, Umar trying to, chest box me. Allah mustaan, Umar. Next question. Further ways.
What's the ruling of revenge?
Allahu Akbar. There's nothing wrong with taking revenge. But sometimes it's best to forgive and to pardon. However, Allah mentions in the Quran about the believers. Allah says, He says, when they are afflicted by baghi, when someone transgresses the boundaries, violates their rights, Allah says, they yantasirun. They strike back. They get their haqq. They stand up for their haqq. So there's nothing wrong with that. Allah tells in other verses, those who transgress the boundaries against you, fa'tadu. Allah says what? Transgress against them. In a similar manner in which they transgress upon what? Upon you. So there's nothing wrong with seeking revenge in Islam. There's nothing wrong with taking your haqq. This is mine. I'm taking it back. There's nothing what? Nothing wrong with that. However, it's not always best. That's first and foremost. And don't ever underestimate the power of forgiveness, as they say. Don't ever underestimate what? The power of forgiveness. Doesn't mean you have to be soft always. Everybody understand this? Islam is a balance. And Islam is a manly, we're talking to men, not about women. We're talking to men right now. For men, it's a religion of manhood. And it's also for women a religion of what? A womanhood. Women have to be tough as well when it comes to the necessary things. Islam is not a religion to make you soft, as many people think. To be scared and meek and always in the corner on the defense. Oh no, don't hit me, no. La, abadan, abadan, abadan. Not in the Quran or the Hadith is you find this weakness and this feebleness. That's not the case. Read the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ and the things that he did. And the times in which he also forgave and he pardoned. But he didn't forgive and he didn't pardon because of weakness. When he went to Mecca, Fatah Mecca, he let people go. He forgot certain debts, certain things, not because he needed them. Not because he was weak. He came back to Mecca as a conqueror. He left out of fear of his life, the life of his companions, and he came back as a conqueror. And he says, it's okay, don't worry. So it's a huge difference between you forgiving somebody because you're weak or you're scared. There's a huge difference saying, listen, if I wanted to, but you know what? Don't even worry about it. Tafaddal, go ahead, you got it. But don't ever get it twisted. What? If you violate me again, I'm going to see you. Everybody understand this? So there's nothing wrong with that. However, don't underestimate the power of forgiveness. Last but not least, beware of your ego. Beware of the shaitan playing you through your ego, thinking that you're tough and this and that. And next thing you know, you can't even control it anymore. And anyone who says something, steps on your foot, looks you the wrong way, what? Huh? And that's a major, major trick of the shaitan. So the strong man is the one who controls himself. And he strikes when he what? When he wants to. When he wants to strike. Whether he needs to or not. He makes the decision and not his anger. He controls his toughness. The toughness does not what? Control him. And following your ego will put you in all types of horrible places. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ. تفضل يوسف.
HA Blackbird UK. If someone's parents die and the state completely abandoning the Salah, should the son pray the janazah for them? If not, what should be said to other family members who pressure the person to pray and call them a tree?
First and foremost, if you believe that someone who does not offer the 5-day Salah is a kafir, don't pray on them. Period. It's just that simple. If that's what you actually believe, based off of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and those ulama who held that view, tafaddal, don't pray on him. And anyone who calls you extreme, you say, I'm not extreme. The Prophet ﷺ said this. The Prophet said that. It's not my understanding. Call it Imam Ahmad kada. Call it Ishaq kada. The Salaf, they said this. So it's not my extreme, modern day, fundamentalist understanding. This is what the ulama said about these hadiths. Those who do not pray are kuffar. Period. Done. Imam Ahmad, was he one of the 4 imams? Ask your uncle Yan. Was he? Do you consider Imam Ahmad a 4 imam? Tayyib. Imam Ahmad said this. So you say Hanafi, and I say Hanbali. What's the problem? Who's better now? You have to outwit these people. You have to what? Outwit them. You're playing a game of chess. You have to do what? Outsmart them. It's just that simple. So if they call you extreme, then so are one of the 4 what? Imams. And then obviously I don't think they're going to say that. And if they do say that, then you can start talking about Abu Hanifa. No, you can't say that. La. Why not? Imam Ahmad's honor is no less sacred than what? Abu Hanifa's honor. Everybody understands you have to use hikmah, wisdom. However, my piece of advice is that if you're not sure about this issue, If you actually don't believe that in your heart, you're not sure, then pray over your deceased parents. Pray over them. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Last but not least, when it comes to the issue of takfir, with regards to not praying, there's nothing wrong with you holding the view that those Muslims who don't pray are kuffar. I repeat, there's nothing wrong with that. That's mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and many of the great ulama held that view, is that those Muslims who do not pray, they don't make 5 salah, are kuffar. There's nothing wrong with a person having that view. Nothing wrong with that. However, make sure that you're willing to apply that all around the board, and not just to your parents in the UK. When you go on Hajj and Umrah, when you're in the hotel, when you're studying in Medina, when you go overseas, you go here, you travel there, you know that this guy doesn't pray. You know that this person doesn't pray. You know that this person in the school, in the meat market, you know he doesn't pray. When it's time to pray in Medina, they close the shop and he sits inside of the shop, and you know he's not making salah. He's smoking and listening to music. You went to the masjid, you came back, Dhuhr, Asr, you know that this person is not making salah. And when you walk into his shop, you need a signature, you need a stamp, and he says, Assalamu alaikum. Make sure that you say what? No. Wa alaik. Because you're a what? Kafir. Just like my mother, who didn't pray, was a kafir. And my uncle, and this one is a what? So it's a very dangerous issue when it comes to not making the salah. Many people, they'll implement it in America and New York City. And they go overseas, they'll get married from another country, and the father does not pray. It's clear as day. All day long, he doesn't pray. He says to his brother-in-law, let's make salah. I was playing soccer, I'm a little sweaty. Wallahi. The sun goes down, comes up, he doesn't pray. What does he say to his brother-in-law, Abu Bakr? What does he say when he see him?
I'm not clean.
No, he says, Assalamu alaikum. And he wouldn't dare say, you're a murtad. He wouldn't say that because it'll be chaos. So don't be a what? Hypocrite. Wallahu alam. Pay close attention, brothers and sisters. You're not going to hear that in too many other places. When you say that person who doesn't pray is a kafir, all of the rulings then apply. This woman cannot be married to her husband anymore. It's haram. She must leave him immediately. He's a murtad. It's no, that's a problem. No. Don't try to backpedal now. Same difference. She's a murtadda. He can't be married to her. She's not a Jew or Christian. Khalas. No, not talaq. The marriage is batil. No doubt. No matter how good she looks. She's a what? Apply it all of what? All around the board. Don't be a hypocrite. Wallahu alam. Fadl Yusuf.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. S.O. Columbus, Ohio. Would you advise against taking the Quran and translation course at a secular university where the class is taught by a non-Muslim?
It depends on the person. If you have some knowledge, some background, it's one thing. Obviously, to translate the Quran and Kareem, you need several different skills and talents. It's not just about knowing Arabic or taking a course. You have to be well grounded in tafsir, well grounded in aqidah. You have to be grounded in hadith. And if you yourself are not grounded in these sciences, then you must have a team of people. I'm not a hadith specialist. I get on the phone, Abu Bakr. I read here in the tafsir al-Tabari that Ibn Abbas said this and the Prophet said that. Is this a sahih? He says, that's sahih. Okay, shukran. And he puts it in his book. Because I don't know hadith. I'm just a linguist. Then I call Khalid. Khalid is a tafsir specialist. I ask him, what's the best way to translate this word in this ayah? Kada, 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 kada. Then I call Salih. Issue of aqidah. Do I translate it? وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ. Does this mean aidi, quwwa, yad? You have to have a team of people surrounding you. And a final finished product should be put on any translation, let alone translation of the Quran. Now I get into the issue, is it permissible to translate the Quran? That's a long issue in itself. Al-Muhim is that it should be a what? An assembly line. An assembly line. The initial raw translation. Everybody understand this? You're making something out of wood. You have the actual selection of the wood, the chunk of wood, correct? Then from the chunk of wood, it's sliced into a smaller piece. Then they wax the wood, they heat the wood, so on and so forth. Boom. Then the hand craftsman comes and does this, bang. Then the person polishes, bang. Then this one, bang. And the last final step is a finished final product. In other words, everybody did something to that final thing. That's how a translation should be of an important book. What book is more important than the Quran? The first translation is the linguist. Then there's the grammarian. Then there's the hadith specialist, the aqidah specialist, the fiqh specialist, the tafsir specialist. Then there's a second grammarian, a second linguist, until it's a what? Final, finished, polished product. And most books you find on the shelf today haven't been done like that. You find a doctor, an engineer, a chemist translating this book. He has great English, but what does he know about hadith? He has great English, what does he know about tafsir? He has great English, but what does he know about aqidah? His aqidah was warped. So that's a problem. That's a what? It's a big problem. Wallahu alam.
AA Santa Rosa, California. There are mixing of men and women in schools to be a doctor. As a woman, can I attend without a mahram?
Very long issue with regards to free mixing. Is it or is it not permissible, so on and so forth? If you have a need to go and be a doctor, and the Muslims need you to be a doctor, your community needs a female woman doctor, then put your trust in Allah, wear your hijab, try to be as shy as possible, graduate, and leave and walk away from that situation. If there is a need or necessity for you to become a doctor, we say that what? In brief. If there's a need and a necessity for you to be a doctor, and the Muslims are in need of a female doctor, qualified, certified, and the only way you can do it is by going into those free mix class, Bismillah. Wallahu alam. That's in brief. That's what, as a disclaimer, brothers and sisters, that's a disclaimer, huh? That's what? In brief. He said it's permissible to go to college and free mix. I did not say that. Everybody understand this? He said it's haram to go to free mixing because it's a necessity. I didn't say it was haram. But in this situation, I said to the sister, if it's a necessity to do it. We're not here to discuss the details of ikhtilat, of free mixing. We're not here to discuss the differences of opinion and the misconceptions and misunderstandings that people have regarding free mixing. It's haram, but it's not actually haram here. Oh, that's permissible, and it's actually haram. We're not here to discuss that in the little bit of time that we have. Wallahu alam. So no one go, running, crazy, saying that he said that the colleges are permissible or impermissible, because I didn't say that. Wallahu alam. Next question, Yusuf.
AC House, New York. What is an ideal study strategy for a layman?
Ideal study strategy for a layman. Bismillah, first and foremost, you learn the basics. Make sure that your salah is correct. Make sure that you understand the basics of Iman and Tawheed. The basics, only the basics. Not the detailed difference of opinion. You don't have to learn the batil things. An example of this is for the Muslim to believe that Al-Quran is Kalam Allah. The Quran is Allah's speech. And there is no need to say غَيْرُ مَخْلُوق. It is not created. There's no need for a Muslim who's on the fitrah to say that. To someone who has not been exposed to that statement that the Quran has been created. There's no need to say that. Everybody understand this? Because Allah Azza wa Jal and His Rasul, they described the Law's speech as being what? His speech. And they didn't say غَيْرُ مَخْلُوق. And the ulama, they said that because there was a what? A need. Those who were saying that the Quran was created. Everybody understand this? So they say غَيْرُ مَخْلُوق. They added that qaid. Very important. Many people who call themselves Salafis, they fall into this error. They don't have the proper understanding of this. And they say that you have to say that. Lazim. You have to say that. غَيْرُ مَخْلُوق. Abadan. Or another example of this, they say Allah فوق العرش بائن من خلقه. Allah is above the throne and He's ba'in min khalq. He's away from his created beings. You do not have to say that unless a person was exposed or tainted to something in which it said what? That He's with His creation. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, He says, ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. He rose upon the what? Arsh. وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْأَعْلَى وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Everybody, it's a very important concept for the layman to learn the what? Basics, and only the basics. If you're in a place in which there's pollution, then you may have to learn some extra things. Yes, no doubt. But if you're surrounded in a clean area, Muslims, upon the Sunnah, learn the basics. Learn the basics of Tawheed, how to recite the Quran, basically. If you want more, as we said, then you start learning more. And the first thing you should do when you start wanting to learn more is learn Arabic. Learn Arabic the way you can read it yourself. After you learn Arabic, you start learning some of the sciences, usul al-fiqh, usul al-tafsir, mustalah hadith. You study ajrumiyah. That way you have the tools to work on the engine of ilm. You need a wrench. You need a tool. You can't just screw it off with your finger. You're going to rip your hand off trying to get that nut and that bolt off. It doesn't work like that. You need a wrench. You need a tool. And that tool is the usul al-fiqh, is the nahu, the grammar, so on and what? So forth, if you want more. So that's in brief. If you want more details, you have to go to the Hadith Disciple channel, in which, alhamdulillah, there's tons of information and strategies with regards to how to study, what books, so on and so forth. Wallahu a'lam. What time is the adhan?
25. I mean 9:20.
We'll stop here for the adhan. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.